Now I'm honored to invite, now we're going to have our first panel. What keeps you up at night? I would like to invite the panel moderator, Yaniv Paz. He's a cybersecurity guidance unit manager at the Ministry of Health of Israel. Yaniv, welcome. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Yaniv Paz. I'm the cybersecurity manager of the unit of the cybersecurity unit of the Ministry of Health. Today, I will be monitoring this panel, discussing the things that keep us awake at night, mostly keep us awake during the day and through the night. So please welcome our guest, panel member from a variety of hospitals in Israel and Cleveland in US. Ricoh is here? Okay, sorry. So allow me to introduce the Chief Information Security guys that with us today, Vugar Zeynalov from the Cleveland Clinic Health System. Thank you, Vugar, for joining. Okay, we can have applause. Okay. Ricoh Danielson from the Virtix, also Chief Information Security Officer. We have Avivit Kotler, Chief Information Security of the Clalit, and also the DPO of the Clalit. Hagar Reshef-Fried from the Meuhedet. And finally, Petel from Assuta Hospital. Guys, thank you all for joining. I would like to start with the incident response. We spoke a lot of threat and the attack surf, and dealing with the IR, what are the main, I will refer to Vugar and Eli, please. What are the main gaps you're facing in order to improve your ability to prevent or to deal with cyber incident? Please, Vugar.
Thank you, Yaniv, and good morning, everyone. I would say the biggest gap and the biggest opportunity is preparing key decision makers to make critical decisions during the incident. Those decisions, they have a long microphone. I'm sorry. So preparing, I was saying that the biggest gap and the biggest opportunity is preparing key decision makers within the organization to make critical decisions during the incident. Those decisions have long-lasting impacts, and making as many of those decisions up front before the incident is crucial, and I'll share some of them. Many organizations during the incident, you may have a retainer for incident response firm, hopefully, but then preloading their agents, because the first thing they're going to do when they show up, they're going to ask you to load the agents. So preloading those agents is it can make it much faster from a response standpoint. Another decision can be, for example, having a retainer with a what we call breach attorneys. It's an attorneys that handling data breaches at a large scale. They can not only give you a legal advice, because every decision you make in the heat of the battle later can be scrutinized in the court of law, but they also can invoke attorney-client privilege on every communication. After the incident, if it goes into the court, every communication is discoverable. Having retainers with, I hope none of us will have to go through this, with ransomware negotiators that can help you to do pay, no pay decision, or determine, and that's another thing people overlook, if the threat actor is on a sanction list and you can't pay them even if you want to, negotiating that payment and even facilitating the payment itself. Another key area is communications. Working up front, and there are companies that can do that, or your internal communication department, building internal and external templates for communication, media training for your executives, simple things like a help desk scripts if people call, or the website that you're going to put up. All these things can be done up front. We also have retainers for clinical staff to search capacity if you have to operate without technology, as well as a technology staff to reimage all the systems that are contaminated. And most importantly, all these things have to be pre-qualified, pre-approved by your cyber insurance. And the last two things I'm going to leave with you really quick is the aftermath of the attack. Many people don't think, but you have to go back from paper to computers, and planning for that is crucial as well.
Thank you, Vugar. Eli, Vugar mentioned a lot of things that related to the incident response and the gaps. Basically, we prepared to situation. How do you see it from your perspective in Assuta?
Okay, so first of all, good morning. I think that the main gap, according what Vugar said, it's the leave the budget the left. It's the way hospital works. It's not like you can shut down all the activity and start investigate. You're in the middle of surgery. You're in the middle of surgeon procedures. So you need to think how to investigate, how to take all the data from the computers and how to mitigate it in the middle of a life-saving. So this is the main issue that I always focus on it.
Okay, thank you. Hagar and Avivit, we're relating to the budget, meaning that show us the money. Okay, so what are the main issues in regard to the budget and cost of the security budget? How do you deal with the budget challenges in relation to the high cost? We know that today the security costs money. Okay.
Yeah, security costs money, and healthcare, as healthcare providers, we are a non-profit organization, and it's a very, very big challenge. Resources are limited, and the CEO will always want to invest in another innovative medical equipment or more personnel or another bed in the hospital. It's our job to talk the cyber risk in a business way and to make them understand that it's a necessary.
You're able to emphasize it on ROI or kind of ROI investment or
it's
returning the investment?
It's never an ROI. We never get praised for the money where we had income to the facility. But we try to consolidate, and we try to find the technology that fits us, and not necessarily the best technology or the newest technology or the most expensive technology. Also, our friends at the Ministry of Defense help us in negotiating on the sectoral level. And I think the most important thing is to present the risk in a business manner that will talk to the managers.
Thank you very much. Avivit?
Well, it is a challenge. I would like to say that we have to have the approval of the board and the management, and the fact is that they have to allocate the budget in order for us to do security well. And in the health sector, like Hagar said, it's very challenging because they would rather buy a CT or build another hospital, and on the scale of saving lives and cybersecurity, it's very difficult to explain why to buy another EDR or a better EDR. But I think that the risk is much more tangible now. In the last 3 years, because of COVID, I think the management and the hospital managers and our board, I think they gave us the media gave us all the necessary risk awareness to make the board invest in that area without us having to beg for it. Okay, but still we don't have a lot of funds. It's very like the Hagar said, we are a non-profit organization. I came from the financial sector, and over there it was a non-issue because we had a lot of money. So go and get anything you want, like new candy you can buy. So here we have to be very efficient, buy everything that we have to, not the nice to haves, prioritize and do a lot in the protection area and the discovery area and the response area in order to mitigate every risk as much as we can. But I think that in the health sector, we are more prepared, like Vugar said, to handle a cybersecurity event than any other sector that that is set on protecting and less in responding to an event. Because in our sector, I think it's inevitable that something will eventually happen. So we deal with what we have, and we have your support also in the Ministry of Health. Yeah, that's it. We manage.
Thank you. Ricoh, Avivit mentioned regarding the culture of the organization, meaning that, you know, if you are approach security health, probably you are not oriented for security. We know that the finance area and the insurance area are more defense in a way that they are protecting, and it's easier to put the culture on top of the security, and it's easier to approach the management. What I would like to ask is, in that term, how do you deal with the challenges of the implementing of security approach on a medical services focus environment?
That's a great question. I hope you guys can hear me, but you know, these are
You can
great
take Avivit.
Perfect. Everybody can hear me? All right, rock and roll. Okay, so that's some great answers from everybody else. I'll see if I can follow them back up. So whenever we talk about cyber culture, and whenever we talk about how to implement that, the three things I always correlate them to is either we're pre-breach, post-breach, or during breach and post-breach. And these cultural transformations and these journeys actually look very differently in regards to budget and finance. When we're pre-breach, we're actually looking for MVSs, right? Minimal viable security. What are we doing to do the very minimal to get by, to not wind up on the news, right? To not be on CNN and whatnot. And then during the breach, that's when the biggest budgets show up. And that's when the biggest presentation of risk, liability, and financial impact should be presented to the organization. After that is post-breach. A lot of people say, hey, you know, it's time to wrap it up. You know, we're good to go. I've worked over 1,500 cyber breaches in specifically hospitals. I've seen hospitals go down to no network whatsoever and bouncing them back up in 84 hours. And post-breach is the most important time, is that's when you set the precedence of, hey, we can't go backwards. We have to go forward. And we have no other choice to adopt this cyber collaborative culture. Failure is a part of the nature of this business.
You mean fall forward?
Fall forward, yeah. And we have to actually fall forward and actually collect ourselves and say, okay, it's okay to fail as long as we learn forward from that.
Thank you very much. Avivit, you want to refer to? Maybe with relevant for the budget issue? Maybe regulation could help with the budget.
I think we are currently talking about the new regulation of the Ministry of Health and the fact that you put a number on the budget, and that's something that management is taking very seriously. But also, it's I think it's a little bit scary for them.
Maybe just a little bit to our audience to understand.
Yeah.
We are talking about regulation that from the regulation, the budget from the IT should have cybersecurity 8% from the IT in total. So, please.
Yeah, well, the regulation helps a lot. Okay, I think we were under-regulated in the cybersecurity area in the health sector, and the new regulation that came out last year is very positive. It changes also the culture, because the emphasis is on the fact that the person responsible for cybersecurity is the manager of the hospital, the manager of the HMO. The responsibility is on them. It's not on the CISO. So if they don't invest, if they don't become aware of the risk and manage it by talking to us, also in the among other things, so they are responsible. So they will be responsible also it can be in a criminal way if we're talking about the privacy regulation. So I think with the regulation of the Ministry of Health and the privacy regulation of Israel, which is similar to GDPR, they are aware that they have more responsibility. They are aware that there's a shift in the cultural area of cybersecurity in the health sector, because we are much more attacked. Attack in a hospital is no longer a taboo. They know that hospitals can go down, even in Israel, like Hillel Yafe was attacked, and it's no longer science fiction. And I think that the most important thing is that they understand that they are very much reliant on systems. So they cannot work without an EMR, and that's something that is very scary. So if we are talking about a 70-year-old doctor, maybe you can use a stethoscope and pen and paper, but the new doctors are very reliant on medical equipment and medical data. So I think that the risk is more understood, and they have to support us in the budget way, and also in changing the culture.
Hagar, we also heard Professor Gamzo. Basically, without the management support, we cannot. And actually, that's what Avivit mentioned regarding the supporting of the management. We believe that it's a shared responsibility, and one of our goals is to prevent this risk and to mitigate this risk together with the management. Hagar, how do you see the approach from your side, the kind of supporting management? You see that you are obstacle in this way?
I think the regulation helped a lot. Actually, we're very behind in the regulation in Israel on the health sector. The first regulation that really had an impact on us was the privacy regulation that came out 2018, which is only 5 years ago. And up till then, no one imagined that we need security in healthcare. That was a non-issue, and management was also in that notion. So the regulation helped a lot in bringing management closer to us in a common goal of securing the organization. And I think the way to go is not to scare the management. I mean, they do see what happens. They do see that Hillel Yafe, the Israeli hospital, was attacked. They see the graphs that were presented earlier, that 74% increase in attacks in the health industry. But we need to bring them together and to really explain in a business way how we together can protect the organization and how to invest the right amount of money, which is not always a very
easy way.
You can invest 100% of the organization budget on security, and you still won't be 100% secure.
Won't be enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. I would like to start with Ricoh regarding legacy equipment. We all know that we have equipment that is end of life, end of support, not being. How you deal with this tackle?
That's a good question. When it comes to legacy information and legacy systems, one of the things we have to do is a quantifiable, qualifiable measure. Does the system work in our environment? Cool, awesome. I'll give you an example. Charles Schwab, huge financial firm, they still use the ticker system. It's an old school deal. Now we have a risk we've identified, we quantified and qualified it. Now we have to do a risk model around it. And then the best way to do that is how can we secure this thing in the best, effective, most easiest, not necessarily cheapest, but the most effective way without getting in the way of the business. After you do that, I think that's the most critical component of using and identifying the legacy system. And then the second part is how can we go about identifying a newer way, a better process, or a better technology or solution.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You having any kind of equipment today to support this? You have a kind of segregation or segmentation of the equipment?
Yeah, so whenever you talk about, when we get down to the technical level, let's just say you have an old school device such as a ticker system, you have an old school device such as a kidney pump system or whatever the case may be. You want to have it on different segmentations and different networks and more specific to different VLANs, so it's only a one-way communication back to the local network. That's the best way you can do it, so you can separate it from your corporate network on top of that, so there's no lateralization movement from the threat actor.
Sorry for the technical issues, but what we want to achieve basically is to separate the medical network, if I understand correctly, with the IT sector, with the IT.
Correct. I know it's a
segment it.
Absolutely. It's a very bold move, but one of the things we want is network segmentation from medical IoT devices all the way to corporate devices to the things that actually are doing critical patient care. The best segmentation is a flat network, if my opinion, and keep those in different dynamics.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Eli, you want to refer something regarding equipment?
Yeah, you mentioned the segmentation and the separation. So first you need to mapping all the devices. In our hospital, we do some mapping and found some equipments that hidden somewhere. So first you need to map, and then you need to do some gap analysis to find out the real real risk that you handle with. I want to thank Ministry of Health that helping all
Too much thank you, guys.
Yeah, because because Ministry of Health just go with a great project to implement security mapping for the IoT and the medical devices system. So it's very helpful, and we just implement it.
Thank you. We'll have a separate session on this topic with the product itself. Thank you for that. I want to go to the supply chain. Sorry for that, guys. But we are doing a lot of things in-house, but we have thousands and thousands, maybe. How much, Avivit?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
We don't want to count the amount of vendors that we are dealing with, and it's a chain of breach that we need to deal with, and in order to do so, we need to monitor, prioritize, putting some kind of safeguard. Please take us into this kind of...
Well, it's no different than any other sector. The supply chain is the major attack surface that every organization is dealing with. I think that problem in the health sector is the fact that if we are talking about previous questions, the fact that everything is connected to life-saving equipment, to medical records, and the fact is that we rely on supply chain because we cannot do everything alone. But through those supply chain, and those suppliers are many, not of them are not all of them are secured enough, and
you want to be politically correct.
Not all of them are secured enough, and then we have to manage the fact that we have to integrate with them to do innovative medical innovation. But I have some people in the crowd that are dealing with it on a daily basis. And the fact is that we have to do a very cyber security standard way to dealing with the supply chain. First of all, the mapping of the supply chain, see which of our suppliers are critical, which have data that is sensitive, which ones are connected to our network. And after the mapping, we have the fact that we have to do controls over the fact that they apply security measures. We have the contracts that they sign, but we have to check that they are actually doing cybersecurity. So we are doing physical checks and also cybersecurity attack surface checks on the suppliers. But I think that the major issue is the fact that they are more aware of the fact that they have to be more secure. So that's a good point, good way to go. But we have a lot of work to do, and I think the major risk in that area is the fact that we are more reliant on the supply chain, and we have a lot of cloud vendors now, and everything is now open AI, and we have to take that into consideration because everything is outside the network now. So as we go and grow more with the innovation, we have to take into consideration that we won't be able to do everything on-prem. So the supply chain has to be more secure. I think the regulator has to address that also, and we have to handle that risk.
For sure, totally agree.
Yeah.
And one small question regarding the size. If you are a size organization like the Clalit, it's easier to approach the vendors, or it's the same?
I have one example that will emphasize the fact that the size doesn't matter. Sorry for the...
It's okay.
But we, regarding medical devices, okay, we have a big issue with medical devices in the health sector. And we've sat with GE and Siemens and Philips. And the fact is that even with big companies, first of all, they are larger companies than us. But even with big companies, they can't handle the cybersecurity risk like they should have. So we have legacy medical equipment that can be handled, and we have to put compensating controls like segmentations and monitoring. Mm-hmm. But the fact is, even big monsters like those companies can handle the risk fully in medical devices, because patient safety is the first and foremost their priority, and they have to do a long way in order to move forward to cybersecurity in medical equipment. So the size is maybe helpful with small organizations, but the fact is everyone has to do a lot of adjustments to be secured, and also it costs a lot of money. So
a lot of money, a lot of effort.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not easy to ask, and a lot of them ask us to pay for their security. So that's also something that is problematic.
Thank you very much. Vugar, you want to add a short one, please? Because we are short in time. We want to have the last question regarding the topic of the panel.
Sure. So scalability is a challenge. We have 30,000 vendors and 2,000 adding every year. We are reimagining the process of third-party risk management, moving away from prevention in a way, because most of the third-party risk management focuses on onboarding into incident readiness, as well as bringing together fragmented ways third-party is managed within the organization, like legal, compliance, supply chain. They're all managing third-party in their own way. So we're trying to create an integrated risk function. And then finally, we're trying to also scale. We're trying to automate a lot of data gathering. You don't need to ask the question, you already know an answer for. So if you are trying to pre-populate some of the questionnaires and focus only asking questions that we have decision for, such as what legal module we're going to use in the contract, or what integration pattern. So there's some new ways to kind of increase the scalability and velocity of the assessment itself, and refocus those resources into incident preparedness. Specifically, understanding if that vendor has a life-saving implications upfront, so you can cut the connection quicker. Having business resiliency plans in place and contingency plans in place. And then finally, the regulatory landscape in the US is changing, where the government is trying to shift the liability actually for insecure products and services back to the product manufacturers and service providers, which I think is going to be a big game changer.
Great insight. Thank you for that. Guys, last question regarding the topic of the panel. What keep you awake at night? But one issue, please. Yeah.
So when my child asks me what I'm doing for my living, I'm not telling them the answer cybersecurity. I'm telling them that I'm part of the chain of life-saving, and we need to think about it and act like this. So what keep me awake at night, that I need to think if I'm doing everything to keep my patient safe, and of course the privacy of them.
Thank you for that. Vugar, please.
When I first started on the provider side, my first week, our research institution got infected. Second week, one of our hospitals got infected. And third week, I was asked to reconnect that hospital back to the mothership and potentially infect the whole health system, or they said there were 8 surgeries in the morning, they couldn't transport the patients. So living in the world of bits and bytes, I never thought that I have to make life-saving decisions. So when someone asks me what keeps me up at night, I tell them like I sleep like a baby and then wake up every 2 hours and cry.
You got me, buddy. The thing that keeps me up at night is not sleeping like a baby, obviously. Incident response, and I always ask the question is, when's the next hospital going to go down? I work plenty of these. I work them all the day. And the one thing I can tell you right now is nobody's coming to your rescue. You're your own first responder, and you have to do those critical business decisions will reign in the history of cybersecurity forever.
Thank you for the optimism.
I think, well, every answer was great. I want to copy that. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, am I doing enough in the day to sleep better at night? So that's a major issue. And the fact is, I'm working so hard that I'm collapsing at night. I'm collapsing at night. I sleep very, very well because the workday is yeah, I'm exhausted. So the major issue is, are we doing enough? That's the issue.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, for me, it's employee awareness, because all the money and work that I can do over the day could be not enough if 90% of cyber attacks happens because of a person, of an employee or a user, insider, and getting to all my users. I have 10,000 users. Getting to them, explaining the risk to them, and making sure that none of them clicks that link, that keeps me up at night. It's a very big challenge.
Thank you very much, guys. Enjoying.